Hi, my name is Sam Johnson and I'm a voice teacher. Today I'm going to be reacting to Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper performing Shallow live in Las Vegas. But before I hit play, I would love for you to click that little bell notification. I think it's on this side. I've never done this before. I think it's this side. Yeah, it's this side. I don't know. It's down there. So I would love for you to do that if you're interested in seeing any of my future videos and getting notifications for those immediately.
I even got you in-ears.
So is this just at one of her concerts, I assume? And he's just a guest? Man, imagine going to this concert and seeing Bradley Cooper come up so close after they did this movie. This would be awesome. Really cool experience. I love that they're going through these sound issue things. It shows how improvisatorial this is. And it's live singing. They're not going to be lip syncing. He needs to have his in-ears. It just sets it up really, really well. And that's kind of why I love reacting to videos like this that are filmed by fans that are at concerts, because it shows you what it sounded like in that room, and you can really make a decision about what they're doing vocally because you don't hear as much post-production on it. Tell me something good. Coming right in on his bridge, on an E. Are you happy in this modern world? Or do you need more? He has a little bit of, I'm not going to say tension, extra squeeze, extra compression in his sound, where I feel like maybe if we could just find a slightly more relaxed laryngeal position, it wouldn't sound quite as, I don't know, it's just on the edge of sounding kind of difficult for me. But he is coming in right on that bridge, which is generally the hardest place for people to start singing, is through their bridges. Usually it's a lot easier to either sing in your chest voice, like ah, 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 or in your head voice, like woo, woo, woo. But on the bridge, where it's a mix in between, that's kind of more difficult. So I don't know, I just hear a little bit of extra chest pull in it, but it's slight. And one thing that he's doing to kind of compensate for that is he's monitoring the volume. He didn't come in full blast, he just came in at a really moderate level of volume. Is there something else you're searching for? Another thing to get rid of that kind of just slightly compressed sound, if that's what he didn't want, is to just drop the jaw a little bit. I think it's a good sound. In all the good times I find myself longing for change, and in the bad times I feel myself. Another thing about that, just before we start hearing Lady Gaga sing it, is it wasn't perfect, but it was emotive, and it was fine. He didn't need to be on all the way through. It was still good music. At least that's how I looked at what he just saw. I kind of find value in those imperfections, though. I find that if something is just completely flawless all the way through technically and just completely clean, and that the focus is only on maintaining an even vocal technique, it starts sounding kind of the same as everyone else. Because I mean, everyone has an individual instrument, but if you're going to be playing it the exact same way as everyone else, you're going to sound pretty similar to everyone else. So I don't know, I kind of liked the inconsistencies in his voice. It was authentically Bradley Cooper. And just because he has only been taking lessons for a few years, and oh my gosh, look at the progress that he has made, look at where he is now. I don't know if there are any videos of him singing before he started taking training, but he is doing a really good thing. But all of that training only existed so that he could sound like Bradley Cooper. Not so that he could sound like someone else, but it's so that he can express himself as him. And I think that that's kind of what we just saw, even with some of the little bits of the little wobbles and the changes that we could make. She's just more stable and a little more balanced.
Or do you need more?
But both of them are placed pretty far forward. Some people might call it a nasal placement or a mask placement or something. It's not a really back sound or a hooty sound. It's got this kind of buzz in it. Both of them have that. So because both of their voices have that quality in the way that they're singing, they're going to blend together really well if they sing together. And it feels natural moving from one voice into the next one. I also like her because she sounds like a person even though she's just singing really, really well. She's not trying to make it sound over the top or special. It's just her and really authentic.
And in the bad times I fear myself.
I like the sound. There's a little bit of extra tension in there to get that sound, and you can also see it with the posture. Like when she's playing the piano, her shoulders are raising quite a bit. Sometimes, actually really often, what we try to do as singers is reduce the amount of tension all the way through the body, reduce any posture things. And if you are able to find a nice balanced posture that feels really good, then you usually sing a little bit better. I'm sure that this feels good for the sound that she's wanting to get, but it was just a little bit heavy. I fear that if she did it like that 500 times, that she would probably be a little bit more tired than if we made some of those little changes. But it's in the middle of a show, probably near the end of the show, when you start bringing in a guest like this, and you can kind of hear it in her voice anyway. And that's one of the first things to go, is how we hold our body, and we start compensating a little bit for what we're feeling and knowing that we're halfway through a show. So all of that aside, though, she also came in right on her bridge. Way to go, whoever wrote this music, for just making people start right on their bridges, because it's hard to do, but when you're able to get it right, it kind of sounds more intense, or I don't know, just the voice shimmers different at that part of the voice, at that part of the range. And she's still forward enough. It's not gonna... Everything I'm doing is just being really, really picky. Very, very picky with it. Yeah, good listening. Good listening. I love that he didn't just jump in, that he waited for her, that he was listening and he's watching her and he's breathing with her. They're singing together very well, and it's because of that emotional bond that they have. Such a good performer. No one could ever say that Lady Gaga is a boring performer. And I think that that's one of the highest pieces of praise that you can offer someone, is they're never boring. They're never just what is expected or anything. It's them, and it makes people feel, whether it's in a really positive way or brings up some emotions that they might not want to deal with as much. She is not boring, and she is so good at sharing that with people. I think that that's kind of the most important part. Everyone has inside them something very special. Just each individual, if you're able to let that out, there is the potential to being great. I believe in every single person. What's most difficult, though, is letting other people see that, having that kind of vulnerability. And that's what's, I think, most difficult about singing compared to some other instruments, is singing is so tied to our personality that it's hard to walk away from it. Like, I've had times where I have been working on my voice so hard when I was in college and before, and preparing roles. It's hard to walk away from a bad practice session and not feel like you yourself are a bad person, just because it's like tied so much to our personality and everything. And being able to get through that and still share it over and over and be like, yeah, this is part of the process. It is hard. It is really hard work, but it's part of it. That's how you can get to the point, like Lady Gaga, where you can share that with people and not have it be an act, have it just be who you are. So I think that she's awesome at that. And a little bit of extra gravel in her voice, I think, from this just being a little bit of a tired, slightly pulled performance compared to where she normally is. Love the acting with it. And as it keeps going, she's getting more and more comfortable not pushing into it. Or as the song progression winds down, I mean, we don't want it to be loud all the time. There are times where you have to sing a little softer. The softer parts you can hear, they don't have that extra gravel to them. I don't think that she is going to hurt herself at all singing with these softer ways, where when she sings a little bit more intense into it, I feel like something else is just grabbing just a little bit. But like, that matters for entire tours. Working on fixing some of those things, it's necessary to adjust your craft so that you can have the career, right? Because you don't want to have to cancel shows or anything. In the moment, this is not taking away from the value of the art. And I think that that's a really clear distinction that I probably fail to make in a lot of my videos, is what I'm saying is not saying, oh my gosh, this sucks. Like, what's the point in that? What can we learn from that? Also, it doesn't suck. What I'm saying is why they're making these sounds and the kind of judgment that you have to make to choose whether making these sounds in this way is the ideal way or whether you can make changes and still have the same kind of emotional impact. And where she's at right now, maybe she's pushing a little bit, but who knows what she's doing for the next few days. Maybe she has a few days off and she knows her instrument and that it's going to be fine. That she can go to this edge and still be completely fine to have a good tour. She's been touring forever. She knows her instrument better than anyone else. They're really good performers first, and technically, I wouldn't say that that's like my favorite technical performance, but I loved how they interacted with each other. I loved how she was vulnerable. It was great. I mean, that's kind of the end goal with everything, and the technical ability is just to get you so that you can make the sounds, so that you can let the emotional intent take over, because if everything that you're doing is focusing on, I look at it like an analogy. I have an analogy with a car. So if you're driving your car a lot and something breaks down, you have to go get it fixed, right? You have to go make repairs and you have to do regular maintenance on it. But when you're driving, if you're thinking about how everything is working constantly, you're not going to pay attention to the road. You're not going to be paying attention to where you're going. You just have to drive. The same thing is true with the voice. When you're doing technical work, it's really good to know what that technical work that you're doing is and how this is firing and how doing one thing interacts with the rest of the system, and making all of these adjustments to just find ease, to find greater skill technically. But then you can't think about all of that stuff when you're in a performance. That'll take you out of the scene entirely. That'll take you out of the moment. And it just isn't as good at all. I would much rather have someone come to me and say, hey, you really made me feel something. You made me think of my grandpa. You made me think about something. And it's just like this emotion, rather than saying, wow, you have a great voice. Okay, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, you can't do anything with that. But the whole point of everything is emotional experience. And with that, I think that they were very successful. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I would love to know your opinion on what you think the value of technique is versus the value of connecting emotionally. Just what do you think that balance is, and how important is it to be technically pure versus in the moment? If you're interested in signing up for a voice lesson with me, you can check out my website, vocalease.net. Thank you for watching.